Excellent.
Perfect.
Then, so questions. We will share the session afterwards, and also the show notes of the session. So if we mention URLs, things like that, we will share that. And we aim for a session of 1 hour. Jason has, I think, 30 minutes, 45 minutes on his topic, and we can chat a little bit afterwards. So everyone who wants can stick around, and I will keep the window open. But first, I'd like to. We know each other a little bit, but I also want to. I'm curious in what you over the last few weeks, if you have new jobs, if you're looking for a job, if you have new certifications, or maybe have a new relation, or looking for a relation. Don't matter. If you have an update, please share it in the chat, or also the mic is excellent in this because we're not with a very big group. So SFMC dating meetup, Ralph. Yeah, that would be the day. Nerds dating nerds. That's a good dating session. And more. I know Doug is preparing dinner. Stovetop lasagna. I don't know what that is exactly. I know lasagna from the oven, but I see Monique. She's a new admin and looking for a position. I think I have something in the end of the deck. I have we have some links. Viresh, I believe you, Viresh, as maybe that's a matching position. We will do that every time from now on. So if we will call for events and job positions, and post them also online, so to connect everyone. So anyone else, new jobs? I think Paul, you're looking for a new position as well, I believe, or you're not speaking up, so you have a new job already.
No, I'm looking for a position. I was just kind of didn't think it was my space to say that. If you've got a particularly broken org, if you've got a client that's in despair, I'm really good at turning around the ones where everyone's given up hope, and I can say, oh, you press these 3 buttons and you've actually got all the data you've been working on, and you can actually see it all. That's my game and my gig. So if you need someone that just needs a bit of advice, that's me. Or come to one of these meetings and you get, or an Amsterdam user group meeting, you get the same advice for free instead. It's a choice.
Yeah, I think the user groups online in the WhatsApp groups on Salesforce Saturday especially, and also the Marketing Cloud user group. I will share the links for that as well.
I love them all.
Pretty handy for new jobs. So if you're now employed by an employer who had some bad luck during the COVID outbreak, then maybe that's a good opportunity. Okay, let's see. And I want to do one thing that's a little bit hard to do, and that's very typical Salesforce. And maybe someone can do that for me. Take a selfie. So we have the screen, and I will put the screen for everyone to gallery view. Unfortunately, that's not everyone, but who can make a picture for me?
Like a screenshot?
Yeah, or with a screenshot, a camera, it doesn't matter.
I think a lot of people already did that. Seeing in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Yeah. I look forward. Put them in the Marketing Cloud WhatsApp, then I'm good. But enough from me. I would like to introduce to you Jason Cort from HowToSFMC. He has 2 topics for today. So what is the HowToSFMC initiative and also the new features of Marketing Cloud, which I'm ashamed to admit I'm not I haven't seen anything new at the moment. So I'm very anxious to hear what's coming or what's already there. Jason, I think you will introduce yourself, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay.
Share my screen, and hopefully you can all see this wonderful deck from the Trailblaze community group. Is that coming up? Let's see. Worked a minute
Yes,
ago.
it is. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, as said, my name is Jason Cort. I've been working with Marketing Cloud for the better part of four and a half, nearly 5 years now, and recently, over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, a group of us have been setting up this thing with HowToSFMC, a community based around the concept of how do we do Salesforce Marketing Cloud? How to actually do Salesforce Marketing Cloud using our real experiences and using the experiences of the community as a whole. So there's my face, seeing as I've not got the video on. So I am the operations admin of HowToSFMC, and I'm also a Salesforce marketing champion for 2020, like I'm sure a number of people around this room are. This is roughly what I'm going to cover in the session today. Go through a bit about HowToSFMC, some of the events that we support, because we're involved in a lot of Salesforce events and supporting user groups. We have some events coming up in the not too distant future that may be of interest to some of you guys or some of your clients or even colleagues who are potentially new to using AMP script or looking to really upskill in things like server-side JavaScript. Going to talk through the Baby Shark Challenge, which I think a lot of you may have heard of, and if you haven't, then I'm afraid you missed out on a chance of winning a signed copy of the AMP script guide from Adam Spriggs. But I'll go through that in a bit more depth and go through some of the release notes covering the 5 topics that I've got there as my specific callouts. So starting with about HowToSFMC and who we are and what we are. So there's six of us behind the scenes running the site. We've got Jenna Matson, who you will have seen if you've been on any of the SFMC Lookup Answers events, on the Technical Marketers Monthly Meetups. Same with Tony. He's been on Lookup Answers and he's contributing to that as the web admin, both Salesforce Marketing Champions this year. We've got Aisha, who is one of the content admins on the site, putting together the articles you see and working with the community to provide the mechanism for them, if they don't have the experience writing, to say, I want to talk about this. She'll work with you to get your content out there and available for the Marketing Cloud community. I've used Greg's Stack Exchange photo because I'm sure that's what most people will recognize with Greg Tonington himself. And we've got Chester Bullock, who is our mentorship admin, currently on a bit of a sabbatical. And he literally wrote the book on how to use Salesforce Marketing Cloud for dummies. So a really good, well-versed and experienced team working towards these goals. So as I've mentioned, what we are a group of users and consultants, and we've built functionality for ourselves, for clients, for people who've just asked questions in some of the user groups. And what I think we're trying to position is that there is a bit where the documentation, the official documentation, stops, and there's that bit where I want to do this thing, but it doesn't necessarily sit within the standard processes or the standard documentation. So challenging that it just works sales pitch a little bit and helping people understand that best practice doesn't always make it work. What we're not is a replacement for Salesforce support or Stack Exchange or any existing communities. And we're also not all developers and engineers. We've got designers on the team, architects and consultants. So it's not just hands-on developers and engineers. So we're trying to leverage our broad experience to provide a really useful place for Marketing Cloud practitioners to visit and find useful content. In terms of the things that we do, we produce a range of content, including videos and blogs, and our challenges and tasks, which I'll come on to in a bit more detail later. And we also support Salesforce with live events and webinars, including email deliverability, server-side JavaScript, and AMP script, and we'll get involved with anything really. We supported on some interactive email webinars in the last few weeks, and we'll continue to support the community as best as we can. So, as mentioned, we have a number of us who support with the Technical Marketers bi-monthly meeting and SFMC Lookup Answers. So whether that's moderating and answering questions in the chat. We had 2 of us supporting the Malaysia user group with their email specialist bootcamp. So that was a 9-day bootcamp, I believe it was, with 90-minute sessions covering everything you'd need to know on your route to going from I've used Marketing Cloud a bit to going for your email specialist certification. We do have bi-weekly catch-ups, so every other Wednesday we'll have a group of us just similar to this on a Zoom call, just talking through how things are working for us at the moment, any challenges we're facing, any opportunities, or even just we've released a new piece of content or we've got some new announcements. Come and sit, come and chat with us, and we'll work through whether you've done something cool or you need us to help you with something cool. And a big one to call out is that Jenna and Susanna are starting off a 2-part series of AMP script basics. I think the first one is next Tuesday and the following Tuesday, where you will be taken from having never really used AMP script as a concept in any way, shape or form to, if time permits, getting to using your first set of conditionals and your first sort of loops, and with the pure aim of making AMP script accessible to a wider group of people. So one of the key things that we do is our tasks and challenges, which is where we take a task or a challenge and we pose that to the Salesforce Marketing Cloud community. And we say, hey, this is the scenario, this is the situation, how would you deal with that? We've done challenges on creating reusable email templates, subscription management, preference management, and we take those because we've all got our ways of doing things. When you've done it once, you might find that's the way you keep doing, but you don't necessarily challenge yourself as much. By working in this way, we can start crowdsourcing some new ways of working and new solutions to the same problems to potentially find a better way than we would necessarily have thought of ourselves in isolation. And what we're finding is that there is an avid group of people and a growing group of people who are looking at our challenges and saying, actually, you know what? This is a really good way of me tackling this. And sharing their experience and sharing their knowledge. When we get the challenges and the responses and we give them a deadline of 30 days or 15 days, depending on the challenge, we then publish those on the website to allow the rest of the community to have a look, have a read, and decide which of those solutions that have been proposed is the one they'd go for, which they'll say, for preference management, the suggestion by James is the one that I want. And we invite the winning submission to come back and write a detailed explanation as to why they got to that decision. Because what we're finding is a lot of documentation, a lot of the support you find on Stack Exchange is just do it this way. Here's how you do it. And there's a certain amount of journey that people need to go on to get from I don't know how to do this to here's how I do this. And it's really great to have that here's how to do it, but taking someone on that journey from I haven't got a clue to here's how we do it, and that logical process of creating their solution is a really useful tool that I don't believe is particularly well established in documentation currently. And we're hoping that over time we can start surfacing these ways of thinking and ways of working to just improve the overall baseline of Marketing Cloud understanding and help us as a community, really improve our skills by challenging our own ways of thinking. So the big challenge we've had recently is the Baby Shark Challenge. I don't know if you've seen it. If you didn't see it, like I say, unfortunately, you missed out on winning a signed copy of the AMP script guide. But everyone knows Baby Shark. If you don't worry, I'm not going to put it on and give you that earworm for the rest of the day. But Marketing Cloud users were given the challenge to output the lyrics of Baby Shark with AMP script alone to meet one of these three criteria: efficiency, simplicity, and innovation. And what we found is that lots of people like to print the lyrics of Baby Shark, and they will spend a lot of time working out the best way to print the lyrics of Baby Shark. We had over 150 submissions to this challenge, which blew me away, and I hadn't fully expected to be spending as much time judging the submissions as we got with 150 responses. So happy days. But as I say, signed copy of the AMP script guide, and we had 3 winners. And the one that blew me away was that Nathan Stone managed to print the entirety of the lyrics of Baby Shark in 219 characters of AMP script, compared to the 1,100 or so characters of the lyrics. So if anyone has any idea how they could beat that, by all means, I would still like to see that. I can't give you a copy of the AMP script guide, but 219 characters is a lot of efficiency to gain from do. HowToSFMC won for innovation with his XML-based submission, where he flipped the whole thing on its head to create one function to output the full lyrics by formatting the entirety of the lyrics in XML. And for simplicity, Ivan submitted the most readable and logical proposal for printing the lyrics for Baby Shark in a way that you could pick that up and say to someone who has never seen AMP script before, and say, this is AMP script, can you tell us what it's doing? With variables named properly, functions called out in a clear way, and the full output being right, and the input making sense without being too long, verbose, and unnecessary. So we're expecting write-ups from the winners in the next few days. So if you're ever wondering how someone came up with the idea of doing all in XML, then we're hoping that will become available to us in the next few days. So you can see, oh, okay, that's a really cool idea, and now I know why it works. We do have some honorable mentions. For example, one of the submissions printed the Baby Shark lyrics in the shape of a shark. Unfortunately, it doesn't meet the criteria to win a prize, but Leslie Higgins did an amazing job at printing out the lyrics to Baby Shark in the shape of a shark. I wouldn't want to know how long she spent on this, because that seems quite a lot of time to get such an accurate shark. But I think it's a phenomenal effort. And we also had an entry that formatted the AMP script to look like a shark. So lots of cool and innovative inputs to this challenge, and lots of amazing ideas from the community as a whole. And like I say, 150 entries or so is quite an achievement. We're really happy with that response, and we've definitely had our thoughts of how we tackle AMP script problems in the future in a slightly different way, and thinking a bit outside the box. So we do have another challenge up, and it would be wrong of me to have a group of Marketing Cloud users and not say, hey, we've got a new challenge. You should enter the new challenge. Unfortunately, no signed copies of the AMP script guide, but it's challenging our own mindset about WYSIWYG being bad. We all know that when you're a developer, the last thing you want to do is use a WYSIWYG, because the code output in Outlook is going to be a bit weird, or using the WYSIWYG for your smart capture forms, it's always going to look slightly off compared to the branding. But WYSIWYG tools do have a place, and so we are challenging the community now to include an elevator pitch of 2 to 3 sentences and design a no-code required solution to the following scenario around a car rental firm, and how they could take their requirements and push that into a no-code solution in Marketing Cloud. Whether you're using dynamic content blocks, whether you're using multiple emails, whether it's all data formatting, whatever it may be. But we want to see how we challenge ourselves as developers and engineers and all that kind of jazz to push ourselves to think like a non-technical person. Because as consultants, our job is always to derive value for our clients. As end user engineers, it's how we can make the most of the platform for our marketers. And not every team is fortunate to have SQL developers or AMP script developers, or someone who can interact with the SOAP or the REST APIs. So the challenge here is to put all of our technical knowledge to one side and come up with a solution that doesn't rely on code. And you can submit your responses to howtosfmc.com/submission. We'd love to see how you guys would challenge this and get involved, really. If you want to find us online, we have a private channel on the Email Geek Slack workspace. We're on Twitter, and we're at howtosfmc.com. And if you want to get involved, send us an email and let us know you want to get involved and how you want to get involved, whether it's writing articles, providing technical expertise for Aisha or myself to write articles along with you, or submit a request via the form on our site and just get involved. We're really happy with how the program's going so far. We're having a great engagement with the community, and we're really looking forward to sort of making the most out of what HowToSFMC is now and what it can become. So I guess any questions about what we do and why we do it?
Okay, I see. Let's see. Yeah, well, Doug always has the hard questions. he wants links to or it didn't happen to the what was that, Doug?
I just don't believe that it was done in 214 characters. So, links or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the code will be on the website in the next few days with a write up from Nathan. But yeah, it was validated by 4 of us, and we are as shocked as you are at someone managing to get it down to 219 characters. I think when I had a crack, I got it down to about 280. So and I thought that was, no one's going to get less than 280. But no, 219, I think, was the best. And we did get others down to about circa 220, less than 230. We had about 5 entries at less than 230. So yeah, we have some very gifted AMP script developers in the community to get down to that level of efficiency.
Now,
Clearly too much time in their hands.
I was also doing the math. 150 people who probably spent how many hours on this?
Oh, if you were a consultant and you build out all those hours, you'd be very happy with yourself.
Times an hourly rate. That's a lot of money that's gone into this project. Nice. And
the economic cost of this challenge is enormous.
Yeah, I don't think I could support this if I were paying for this as an end user for a consultant, but it's great to see what the minds of Marketing Cloud users can get to when challenged with something a little bit silly. Because
and
carry on.
And for the other challenges, how many people usually participate?
It varies depending on the complexity of the challenge. So it may be that some challenges will get 5 or 6. Some we may only get, no more than 10. So it really does depend. Not everyone has a defined way of doing things, and if you've not got a way of doing it, you wouldn't necessarily participate. You wouldn't spend your time thinking of how to do it. But what we are finding is that raising awareness about HowToSFMC with the Baby Shark Challenge has meant we've had a number of people contact us saying, hey, when's the next challenge coming out? So it got announced yesterday. I'm announcing it here for everyone here. So you've got a bit of a head start on the people who are finding it organically. And all the details are on the website with the specifics around how to submit your responses to the challenge and just get involved.
And you also mentioned the SFMC lookup and answers, where you're involved in. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I've seen that also online, but I haven't attended any sessions for that.
So SFMC lookup answers it's a bit of a Q&A with some subject matter experts. So whereas a lot of Salesforce sessions will be, here is the product manager for this feature, and they're going to spend 45 minutes telling you how they think you should use this feature. For lookup answers, what we work towards and what Salesforce is pushing for is bringing on end user and consultant experts who are passionate about Marketing Cloud, who will answer questions. We will get, I think we'll sometimes get 150 questions before the session starts, and they'll be moderated, and the interesting questions or the common questions will get asked to a group of experts. So Greg Gifford was on one this week, I believe it was, on server-side JavaScript, along with Jacob Edwards. And essentially, if you've got a Marketing Cloud question and it's on the subject that the session is on, whether it's AMP script, server-side JavaScript, using the APIs, you're not going to find a quicker response to your questions from someone as experienced or as knowledgeable. Probably in many places. And it's not just a text response of, oh yeah, here's the documentation. There's a lot of conversation between multiple people saying, actually, if you want to do this, you can do it this way or there's that way, and you'll get 3 or 4 options that might be more suitable for your use case. It's a really brilliant session to come along to, whether you've got questions to ask on the subject, or you just want to listen in and hear, some of the, experts that are involved talk about or answering other people's questions. And the next one's, I think, it's in about 2 weeks. I will have to confirm that one. I'm sure someone on the call has seen it and knows when the next one is. I don't have the calendar.
Maybe I know Gilda was also has registered, so I don't know if she's on the call, but maybe she can also. I see someone raising their hand. Maybe you can share the link, Gilda. Jason, if there's no more questions, I think we can continue. Yeah. This was interesting. Yes.
Cool. So the May 2020 release, it went live about 10 days ago for most orgs, maybe a bit longer ago. What I found most interesting about this release is that it was condensed into a smaller number of elements than you had previously seen. There are some elements in the original release notes that are not available yet, and there is a big push for Einstein capabilities and making that available to users and surfacing the information to users. The 2 major alerts that I want to call out: update your Marketing Cloud connector. If you've got anyone who is using the old one, they should stop. I think that's been known for a while, but I think end of July support goes away, and it goes away. So just update. If you've got anyone who's not using it, update it. And the longest retirement tour ever, classic content, is still going away. And I'm sure you're all aware, but I still have people asking me, oh, how do I do this in classic content? Don't, is my go-to response. So, as I said, it's been condensed a little bit. On the right, you can see how it was broken down for the March 2020 release, how the May 2020 release compares. What seems to have happened is a lot of the individual studios have been dropped into this Marketing Cloud Journeys collection of release notes. So if you are wondering why something's not there, it's probably been dropped in there instead. So it's just one to flag to make sure if you're looking at the release notes, you check the journeys bit. Even if you've not got Journey Builder, it'll probably be there. But so I said I want to touch on a few key elements of the release. The first one being Path Optimizer. So at the moment, or previously, you were not able to do A/B testing or multivariate testing within a journey, which is obviously a problem because we all like to A/B test and optimize our customer experiences. And now with Path Optimizer, you can, which is a massive step forward, especially if you have anything where your org is limited to using journey sends, or you're using Salesforce data and using Salesforce data entry events. So for me, the key use cases: long-term automated drip campaigns, multivariate testing with automated winner picking, and optimization of Salesforce data event-based sending. The A/B test capability from Sales Cloud is being retired, so you lose that capability there. This is the alternative. The documentation does say use synchronized data extensions and put them into A/B testing, etc., etc. I don't know if anyone else had problems with the out-of-the-box A/B testing engine, with it just deciding to not send a winner, or it picking the wrong winner in some cases. So I've tested Path Optimizer just to identify what the impact is on the journey performance. It's not as big as you would expect. when it comes to queuing up sends through the trigger. We had, when I refer to active dispatch time, I've compared a 1 million dispatch through Journey Builder without A/B testing and a 1 million dispatch through Journey Builder with Path Optimizer on a straightforward A/B test. And the standard non-optimized option would process 1 million records through in about 30 minutes. The A/B test, you would have the initial 7 minutes of the first 20% going through into your A and your B pots, and then that would be topped up by about another 25 to 28 minutes for the rest of the pot to go through. So you're seeing between a 10 and 20% increase in the actual time to dispatch. But for optimizing an A/B test when you've got a whole back group, that's pretty awesome. You know, if you can get a 1% performance increase with your winner picking, that's marvelous. One of the key things is you can select your own winner manually. So if you need to rely on anything besides an email engagement metric, so you can look at open rate, click rate, or unsubscribe rate. If you've got something such as conversion rate, income per email send as a metric that you track through, you know, your EPOS or through Google Analytics, you've got the option there to pick your own winner when the time is right. So it does give you a lot of flexibility, but it also gives you a lot of control in terms of, I just want this to go to the most engaging response. The one call out I want to make, whereas with the standard A/B testing tool, you get 3 jobs. You get A, B, and you get winner. For the Path Optimizer, the optimized send goes through the same job as the A or B. So if you're looking to track the results of the optimized dispatch, you'll need to match that back using the send time and the trigger send object definition, all that kind of stuff, back to a user if you need to get that level of results to check that the results of A, B was that B won. You sent it all, the rest of it to B. Did B still outperform A? You just need to do that in a different way rather than how you would potentially previously have done it, looking at the job IDs. And you can't nest a path optimizer in another path optimizer. So if you want to get down to that level of optimization, you can only chain them. So in this use case, it's on a welcome journey. You may want to work out what the best time between a welcome and a cross-sell campaign dispatch is. We've got 25% down each path of 1, 2, 3, and 4 days. And then you may want to optimize the performance of a brand positioning email after that. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 days. You would optimize part 1 straight away. So you, depending on how long you chose to optimize for, if you've got a welcome journey, it may be that you want to optimize over a period of 14 days. So what will happen is 14 days plus the duration of the longest path will get you to your point of winner being picked. So in this example, you may set a 14-day response monitoring period. After day 18, the winner will be selected and the losing paths will be just shut off. So if it came down to it and the 3-day between welcome and cross-sell was the most optimized performance based on open rate or on click rate or lowest unsubscribe rate, you would end up with just the 3-day path live. And then on same goes for the secondary brand positioning one. If you want to optimize for the time between the cross-sell and the brand positioning, you can chain these optimizations. And if it turns out that 4 days after the cross-sell to the brand positioning is the most effective campaign response, then it will shut off the other 3 paths. You end up with one journey with welcome, 3 days later cross-sell, 4 days later brand positioning email, and you've had to do none of that yourself. It's all done for you, and you can sit back and just enjoy the fruits of your non-labor and take advantage of the improvements in the functionality and improvements in the results. Journey pause and resume is the next thing to cover. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are some things that were in the release notes that are not yet released, but there are a few things that we do know, and there are a few things that we don't know. So I'm hoping that Salesforce will announce the things that we don't know sooner rather than later, because we've all had situations recently, potentially with something called coronavirus, that's made us have to stop a whole bunch of live campaigns without really having the opportunity to think about what happens after we need to stop these. At the moment, what it looks like is pausing a journey is going to give you 14 days to think about it rather than necessarily do something. What we don't know is that if you reach 14 days, does that eject you or does that unpause? We don't know that. That is yet to be determined by Salesforce. The couple of key things are that pausing a journey will only extend the wait by duration. Anything else, not impacted. So if you're doing anything based on an attribute and time after an attribute, be really careful when you pause a journey, because if you unpause it, you could get everyone going straight through and getting 7 emails. You can choose a behavior for contacts attempting to enter a pause journey, unless you're evaluating all data, in which case they're all discarded. So you can either have them in a holding area or discard them if the journey's paused. So, as I say, what we don't know is what happens after 14 days. It seems that 14 days was historically the length of the queue for a triggered send, and that obviously got shortened down to less than 5. So it seems like they may be closely linked. So my speculation would be that if you hold them for 14 days, whatever happened after 14 days with a pause trigger will happen in this situation. I don't know how many of you are using the FTP and the EFTP for Marketing Cloud. I haven't seen this documented anywhere with regards to how to test your own SFTP and your FTP clients. Use this. This is how you can test any of your FTP integrations. If you're working with any middleware, if you're using any ETL tools, make sure that those ETL tools can connect to this FTP server, because this is essentially the test area which has the restrictions for access on it that start being rolled out from tomorrow. So keep an eye on this, have a look, test it if you need to. I've tested it on all of our systems. Unfortunately, we were fine, but I also know that some of my clients in a previous role would be out of luck without some massive work on their middleware. So if you can, test it and find out. Next thing on my list is contact cleaning. We've all been there. Whether it's in our own org or on a client org, where you've gone in and they've got a content or contact count of 500,000, but for some reason they've got 7 million contacts in all contacts, so you don't know why, and you have to clean it up. So a lot of you will have seen the old Mobile Connect workaround, where you would, if you have Mobile Connect, you go in there, you find anyone with no email address, no phone number, no device ID, all that kind of stuff, and it'd give you a nice list, and you can just delete that. But if you didn't have Mobile Connect, then you were stuffed, and you'd have to rely on support to get you a list or do it through the API. This is referred to as a data extract. I believe it's potentially incorrectly named because it just creates a data extension with the records in it, which to me isn't a data extract, but that's the behavior it does, and that's what happens. But you get a data extension with the contacts without channel addresses in your root data extension folder. So if you need any clearing up of orphaned records, that's a quick way to do it. I know I've had many times where I've needed to go through the old Mobile Connect workaround, and this is a benefit for me. The documentation does say that you can only run it once every 24 hours. I ran it 8 times today. So take that piece of documentation with a pinch of salt, because it may not necessarily be limited in that capacity. Yeah, that's all I can say on that. And don't be dissuaded by the fact that the configuration tab on this is completely blank. Just click next. You get properties, a blank configuration tab, and a summary. It doesn't in any way explain that it's a data extension that's going to be there besides in the documentation. And I don't often read the documentation unless something seems really weird. And that was a really weird thing that I found out by reading the documentation. So you've got that free tip today. And Trailhead modules. I know most of us have done a lot of these, or we don't necessarily need to do these. I speak from some conversations with Salesforce, and they are working really hard on producing some good modules for Marketing Cloud. And one that isn't in the release notes, and I don't know why, because Path Optimizer has just come out. The Path Optimizer in Journey Builder module is probably the best Marketing Cloud module I've seen. So I would recommend, if you've got clients who are looking to use it, or if you've got colleagues who want to use it, get them to run through this. It is by far and away the best module they've written so far. And it works. It does what it needs to. It's not all full of random stuff about use cases that you'll never have. It's a really good piece of Trailhead. And there's a really good module around auditing Marketing Cloud, which isn't necessarily one for us as consultants and developers and engineers, but for anyone who is a new admin, anyone who's taking over an org and hasn't done an audit before, you've got a really good checklist there that's worth running through. So I'd recommend those two. There's 5 modules that have been released as a result of the new release, but they're the 2 that I would recommend. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what I wanted to go through with the new release. So any questions?
I think I also saw Rick adding one, a personal favorite. Maybe you can elaborate on that as well, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a frustration of mine for about 3 years that you cannot delete the triggered send keys. So you have to change the name every time you want to edit anything on them. So yeah, it was not. It was sort of serious and not really serious, because it was a relief that you can finally delete them. You could delete them through We Use Proxy for a few years, but they also blocked that. So I'm glad they finally released this.
Yeah, there's a number of things that have been irritating for a lot of us for a while, and it's good to see some of them finally being dealt with. So yeah, I think that's a really useful one. Another one that I think is worth calling out is the ability to remove files from the CDN that you otherwise, or previously, you would have to do an overwrite of a piece of content. So you can now actually just remove it, which is a nice step in the right direction to clearing out content that you don't want to have available to customers and recipients.
I personally like also the audit part. Usually you make up your own audit path. I things you audit. So this is good to have some guidance there as well. And I saw a lot of comments on the documentation of Marketing Cloud that's lacking a bit, which is, I think, it's funny to read. And I know when I studied for my Marketing Cloud consultant exam, there was no Trailhead or any other documentation, but the help files, and I read them all and passed my exam with that. So they have been quite helpful, but I also recognize the restrictions, and it doesn't tell you how to do things. It just tells you what the features are. So any additions to that are really helpful.
Yeah.
Do we have more questions? I'm sorry, Jason, I wasn't.
No, it's completely fine. No, you're right. There's never been a whole lot of use cases that are relevant in the documentation, so it's good that adding the trailheads is giving some context to how you would do things and why you would do things. It's a step in the right direction. It's by no means perfect yet, but there is a lot of effort going on behind the scenes to make it better for Marketing Cloud.
Yeah, the thing that would help the most, I think, is to have orgs you can play around with, not being your client's orgs.
Yeah, sandbox. If I say to Salesforce any more times about sandboxes for regular people, I think they're going to block my email address.
I think they have a lot of email addresses to block if they start on that path. Do you know why that is? Because this has been a wish for a lot of people for years. Do you know how that why that isn't the case, that we have test orgs?
So I guess the difference with Salesforce Core and Marketing Cloud is that the opportunity to exploit Marketing Cloud is potentially more vast. There's far fewer guardrails in place for Marketing Cloud compared to Salesforce Core. So I think it's more of a protecting the performance of the platform for paying customers rather than anything else. When you compare how many servers there are for Salesforce Core versus how many there are for Marketing Cloud, obviously we've got about 9 or 10 active stacks for paying Marketing Cloud customers, whereas there are hundreds of servers that support Service Cloud and Sales Cloud. So yeah, my guess would be that.
So as of 2 years ago, a lot of the Marketing Cloud instances were still delivered basically by a couple of guys that set them up. So I think a lot of that's now changed, and a lot of them are scripted to deploy them. But that was part of the reason why you couldn't get a sandbox, because it would have to be a guy, I think a couple of the guys in India, that were basically setting up those. I got told there was seven guys who just created Marketing Cloud instances. So I think that's part of it. I also had a chat the other day with some of the product team. Realistically, that's also part of the question around servers moving to Azure. So with more scale, with more control to be able to scale resources whatever you need, that will also be a bit more interesting. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's hard to put in guardrails for things like how many messages can you send? Could you use a test instance to send out 1 million messages? They'd need to build a whole lot of stuff, obviously, around that as well to restrict you from actually using a test instance for real, which I think is pretty fair. Those are kind of the things that I've had discussions with people about as well.
We have a question from Viresh. Viresh, maybe just turn on your mic and ask it. The group is pretty small, so.
I'm in the process of guiding a org from US stack to European stack. process from Salesforce, but what I'm getting is that it's an around 8-month process. Does anyone have tips to speed this process up?
Get a bigger client.
Yeah, I think money
I
makes
worked.
things quicker.
Yeah, no, because I had one of my previous clients I worked with was on this, and they got put to the front of the list because they have 6 separate Marketing Cloud instances, so they're a very big customer, and therefore they were basically pushed to the front of the list ahead of a lot of other things. Smaller customers, they just don't care as much about. That's all. Simple as that. I think
migrating from scratch.
If there's legal constraints involved, it also gets particularly interesting because what they're doing in the background there is basically, from memory, is that it's basically copying the entire database that your Marketing Cloud is sitting on. So whatever database your instance is using, they make an entire copy of that, take that database, and then copy it into the new instance and a new database potentially. And there's a migration path, which means that for a certain period you can't use essentially either of the instances because they essentially are locked down for a certain period. So we had issues that we were discussing around things like SMS and push journeys not working for a day, for example, while they did certain migrations. And even then there was no guarantees about it. So I would be careful. It's that.
So basically doing everything manually?
Sorry?
So just migrating everything?
It's a lot of work and I really don't want to do that, but if that speeds it up, I'll probably end up doing that. Yeah, it's just a lot of manual labor and I'm lazy.
Yeah, well, that's we all are lazy.
That's why we all work in automation, right?
Yeah. Was finding the words. Thanks, Jason. That's why we work in automation. Yes.
I will say, in terms of migrating elements of one org to another, there is a lot that you can retrieve from the SOAP objects. So if you've got to migrate queries or data extensions, there's a lot you can pull from there and treat into like a JSON array and just bang it straight up into a new org. I've got a process that I run every day now, which creates an archive of every query in our org. And I have today's snapshot of what the queries are, and I have a daily archive of every query that's existed for the last sort of 3 months, because I was finding other users going in there and changing queries and not knowing what they were doing, and then having to roll back to something that you don't have archived is painful. So I decided I'm going to create an archive for that. So if anyone changes it, I can go and copy and paste it from somewhere else. But you can do that with SQL queries. You can do it with your data extensions. I think some of the big pain points you'll get is the images between Content Builder on one org to another may be difficult, but there's a lot you can get out with just the SOAP objects. From an overall platform setup perspective.
There are no backup solutions currently present that can help you migrate. So is that you've built this probably because there aren't any?
So yeah, I built that because I had an immediate problem that I wasn't going to be able to rush through budget to make it go away. So I've made the problem go away for myself. And I think there's a lot that can be done. I've not seen any particularly robust backup tools for Marketing Cloud that I would say, yep, I'm going to trust all of my Marketing Cloud stuff on this one tool. There's no own backup equivalent for Marketing Cloud compared to what you would get in Sales and Service Cloud. So it's just difficult, and we've all got different requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a tool we're working on in Accenture, which is pretty cool, but obviously we can't share all those things. But I can tell you that you can do a shit ton of stuff with APIs if you have a lot of time. So the guys that are building the 219 character AMP script queries, find them.
When are you
we
finally
know,
open
we
sourcing those codes, Doug?
Sorry.
When are you finally open sourcing those codes?
I think my management would be unhappy about that.
I mean, management is always happy.
Yeah, don't sign any of the IP things when you are employed by an employer. Go self-employed, then you can. Yeah. Hey, maybe Jason. I think this is. Was this your last sheet? Because I have some
Yeah.
one sheet to round up with.
Yeah, this was the last thing for me. Let me
Okay.
stop sharing my screen.
Or I sign off. Let's see. And then yeah. Okay, I think this. Well, we know this sheet. We have. Well, first, Jason, thank you very much for your sharing your story in how to SFMC, and I'm really looking forward to participating myself, and hope a lot of the group members will. So and also your new features that were very useful. So thank you for that. And to the group, for those of you who haven't already, we have a WhatsApp group and a LinkedIn group you can join. To be honest, the WhatsApp group is the most active one at the moment. So good for if you run into problems or need a new job or just have something to rant on. If it's not in the documentation, that the WhatsApp group's there. I will share this presentation in the link. So we don't know when the next meetup is yet. I will coordinate with Maurice. We have planned some live meetups for the rest of the year, but maybe we'll switch to just virtual or do a mix of those. Frankly, to be quite honest, however the legislation or the rules are in the Netherlands, I do prefer to keep it virtual for a little while longer, and maybe also good. I'm sorry, free beer.
But
Yeah.
what about the free beer?
Yeah, that's. I think Salesforce saves a lot of money when we don't do our live meetups. It's not just the free beer, but also the food. Thank you, Salesforce. If you're still in the call, Gilda, thank you for that. Maybe also good to highlight. There are a couple of events that are really interesting to follow. We always have the Dutch SF community link for all the community events we have in the Netherlands. Jason mentioned the AmpScript courses. Those that are two sessions. We provide a link to those. There's mainly for people who are starting out with AmpScript. So if you got your sights on being able to program 212 characters for the shark song, this is the way to start. And also how to SFMC. Please go there to participate in the challenges they have. There's also a technical marketers monthly meeting. So if you really want to go in depth on the technical side of Marketing Cloud, then these are the sessions for you. There's one, I don't know if that's next week, but very soon. It's on Mobile Connect. So if you're sending out SMS or doing in-app messaging, that's wanting to do that, this is the session for you. There's also a Salesforce Saturday session, team of one. Sergey, are you still in the call? Can you explain a little bit? I don't think Sergey is there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah. We will have a session with
with one guy who left the job and started ISV. So it's basically to inspire how you can take your idea and realize it and what it means. It's more about Salesforce Space, standard Salesforce Space, not the Marketing Cloud, but it's interesting because it's about entrepreneurship aspect in Salesforce ecosystem. So yeah, if you're interested, join. It will be in 1 week on Saturday morning.
Yeah, and always good to join the Salesforce Saturday. Also, if you don't have anything to do and if the sessions are live again, please go there. Especially if you have just gotten one of your certifications, you have to buy cake for everyone. Always a treat. And then Firesh, I think you put the Swiss Sense career bit in.
Yeah. So Swiss Sense, they're going through a big CRM strategy for the next year. So started about a year and a half ago. In February, they've released the go live of Service Cloud, working now on Sales Cloud. Marketing Cloud's also in the roll up. So basically, they're investing heavily. And from the marketing side, we'll be needing some more expertise who can help basically monetize the database. They have a big database. So yeah, anyone who's interested, want to learn more, just give me a ping, DM, find me on anywhere. We can have a chat about it.
Okay.
And it's a really
so it's specifically Marketing Cloud or also the Service Cloud part?
Specifically Marketing Cloud.
Okay, good. Sorry, Paul. Unless you want to become a Marketing Cloud Salesforce marketer.
Thank you very much for your kind offer.
You don't know what you're missing. It's the best part of Salesforce.
Yes, I think, in my feeling, it's the one that needs the most development still.
So it's the most opportunities.
But I like all the clouds, so I'm unable to choose between sales. Service,
Very polished, Michael. Very polished.
Marketing, Commerce Cloud, yeah. So yeah, that's the same for Doug. I think you're also the bit of the cross clouds, but I think a little bit more on the technical Marketing Cloud side. Am I correct?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Unless someone's paying me to be something else, in which case I'm definitely whatever they're paying me for.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for attending. How was this? Is this a good format to do for the next time? Do we need to change anything?
Yeah, it's a good format. It was really good to be joining this one tonight.
I certainly enjoyed the content. So,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see everyone. I texted you. I prefer Zoom because you get to see everyone on screen. At the moment, I can see 8 people on screen, and it's a shame because there's other people that I can't see and wave at and stuff. But that's
I agree. That's I'm also used to more people in one screen. Yeah. Well, some people you don't want to see live, but generally you do. You want to see the responses. That's weird. Usually in live meetings you get you get signals of people, how they're sitting and how they're breathing, and we have to develop a new set of skills how to interpret the people's behavior on the screen. Are they irritated? Can I push their buttons? Is it that? So that's a new way of working. We all did our share, I think,
Well, now you can
of online meetings.
press our buttons.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do it with a drink.
With a drink.
Yes. Next time everyone brings drink, and then you indicate if you are happy or need another drink.
Yeah, I've done a wine tasting and a beer tasting the other day, and everyone got their. Ralph, you were in that call as well, and Tarek. Yeah. We had. We just got a box with 3 bottles of wine, and someone explained a little bit about the wine, and you have to taste. And I think
but
2 hours later,
and full bottles. I got completely smashed that night.
we drank for 2 days from those bottles after that.
I still have some left.
Maybe we have some worstenbroodjes next time.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah, well, yeah, that's also good. I do think a lot of people don't know what worstenbroodjes are in this call.
That's good to promote.
Sorry,
it's like an improved version on a hot dog.
Pig in the blankets.
Oh,
pig in
not
the
very
blankets.
kosher, but my memory recalls.
Are you talking sausage rolls here, Michiel?
I'm sorry, Doug?
Yeah. Are you talking sausage rolls here?
Yes. Pigs in the blanket. I will share the. So I'm together with my. If I don't do the Salesforce bit, I'm together with my brother. I'm a broker, and I will share the bake Brabantse worstenbroodjes. So that's just rolls with. This is me and my brother. We and if we don't do the tech stuff, I don't do the tech stuff, then I bake bread. That's yeah.
Nice. Can we order them?
Yes. So I will put that in the show notes as well.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone has their weird hobbies, I think. So, Doug makes. What was that? What lasagna? Tabletop lasagna?
Oh.
What was it?
No, that wasn't me. I did sauteed blends.
That was me. Stovetop lasagna.
Oh, stovetop lasagna.
Yeah.
And you make that on the stove instead of in the oven.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
It's faster.
Yeah, I can imagine. My sons they like the lasagna from the Albert Heijn, and the cheapest one they can get. And you can get that in a kilo size, and they just put that in the oven and they eat it by themselves.
Yes, my son does too.
1 boy, 1 kilo of lasagna. Wow.
Yes, he does too.
You're just jealous now, Phil.
Yeah, and they know where they can end up, and they know what posture I have, but they all look like a thin, how do you call that?
A stick. He also likes the hamburgers from the refrigerated section too.
Oh yeah, or in the microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to eat all the satay, the cheapest one you could get, the €1 bags of satay with white.
That's how you know it's good.
I see Viresh laughing.
It's so tasteless. Even
it's authentic cuisine.
No, just go to a toko. They're cheap.
Yeah, I know,
but
I'm
not
sorry.
that cheap.
That is true.
Okay, I need to head off, but thank you for having me, everyone.
Thanks, Jason.
Hopefully see you guys
Jason,
again.
Really cool.
Thank you very much for entertaining us this evening. Thank you very much.
No problem. And HowToSFMC, get involved. Be wrong for me to not try and plug it once more.
I will send everyone the link.
Cheers. Have a great evening, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Bye-bye.
I'm disappearing as well. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Paul. Bye-bye, Paul. See you next time. I think it's a good to call it a night.
Try to sleep next.
Thank you all.
Heading off as well.
Okay. Bye, Monique. Good luck finding a job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. Nice seeing everyone.
All right.
Oh.
Good enough. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.